On September 15, 2008, Lehman Brothers, the fourth largest investment bank in the world, declared bankruptcy, sparking chaos in the financial markets and nearly bringing down the global economy. It was the largest bankruptcy in history, larger than General Motors, Washington Mutual, Enron, and WorldCom combined. The federal bankruptcy court appointed Anton Valukas, a prominent Chicago lawyer and former United States attorney, to conduct an investigation to determine what happened. Included in the 9-volume, 2,200-page report was the finding that there was enough evidence for a prosecutor to bring a case against top Lehman officials and one of the nation's top accounting firms for misleading government regulators and investors. That was 2 years ago, and there have been no prosecutions. Anton Valukas has never given an interview about his report until now. This is the largest bankruptcy in the world. What were the effects?
The effects were the financial disaster that we are living our way through right now.
And who got hurt?
Everybody got hurt. The entire economy has suffered from the fall of Lehman Brothers.
So the whole world?
Yes, the whole world.
When Lehman Brothers collapsed, 26,000 employees lost their jobs and millions of investors lost all or almost all of their money, triggering a chain reaction that produced the worst financial crisis and economic downturn in 70 years. Anton Valukas' job was to provide the bankruptcy court with accurate, reliable information that the judges could use to resolve the claims of creditors picking over Lehman's corpse.
Had you ever done anything like this before?
I've never done anything like Lehman Brothers, and I don't think anybody else has ever done anything like Lehman Brothers.
So your job, I mean, in some ways, your job was to assess blame.
Our job is to determine what actually happened. Put the cards face up on the table and let everybody see what the facts truly are.
Valukas' team spent a year and a half interviewing hundreds of former employees and poring over 34 million documents. They told of how Lehman bought up huge amounts of real estate that it couldn't unload when the market went south, how it had borrowed $44 for every one it had in the bank to finance the deals, and how Lehman executives manipulated balance sheets and financial reports when investors began losing confidence and competitors closed in.
Did these quarterly reports represent to investors a fair, accurate picture of the company's financial condition?
In our opinion, they did not.
I mean, isn't that against the law?
It certainly, in our opinion, was against civil law, if you will. There were colorable claims that this was a fraud, yes.
By colorable claims, Valukas means there is sufficient evidence for the Justice Department or the Securities and Exchange Commission to bring charges against top Lehman executives, including CEO Richard Fuld, for overseeing and certifying misleading financial statements, and against Lehman's accountant, Ernst & Young, for failing to challenge Lehman's numbers.
They'd fudge the numbers. They would move what turned out to be approximately $50 billion of assets from the United States to the United Kingdom just before they printed their financial statements. And a week or so after the financial statements had been distributed to the public, that $50 billion would reappear here in the United States, back on the books in the United States.
In the next financial statement, they would move it overseas again and file their report and then move it back.
Right.
It sounds like a shell game.
It was a shell game. It was a gimmick.
Lehman misused an accounting trick called Repo105 to temporarily remove the $50 billion from its ledgers to make it look as though it was reducing its dependency on borrowed money and was drawing down its debt. Lehman never told investors or regulators about it.
This is really deception to make the company look healthier than it was.
Yes.
Deliberate?
Yes.
How are you so sure of that?
Because we read the emails in which we observed people saying that they were doing it. We interviewed the witnesses who wrote those emails, or some of those emails, and asked them why they were doing it, and they told us they were doing it for purposes of affecting the numbers.
Do you think Lehman executives knew that this was wrong?
For some of them, certainly. There were concerns being expressed at high levels about whether this is appropriate, what happens if the street finds out about it. So, there was a concern that there's a real question about whether we can do this, or whether this was right or not.